everybody! Klaire Fluffle here. I am excited! I love this game so much, and that goes for the whole package. Well, almost the whole package. The online is pretty terrible, but everything else is incredible, including the music. I will defend it to the very end, just as I would my puptrons who support me on Patreon. Big thank yous to them. Consider becoming a puptron on your own for nifty perks, including 2-day early access to all of my videos. A special thanks to my head-patting Fluffle fans, Biohazard, Fioriole, Tyke, Jane, and remember, Miss K says ya. I love you guys! Oh, I sure did mention my Patreon before saying like the video and ring the notification bell after subscribing, huh? Well, that's a first. Anyway, let me paint a picture of how I imagine many reactions are going to be. Wait, what? I will stand Battle Royale from now until the end of time. This game came out well over 5 years ago, and I'm still finding new ways to find joy in it, as I did 5 years ago. But I'm certainly in the minority here. The game didn't sell very well, it didn't get reviewed very well by critics or by the average gamer, and you don't hear many people talk about it anymore. And much of the same critique was put towards the music. Yeah, it's not very good, it's not all that memorable, sounds like generic 2010s Kirby stuff, all that jazz. Despite that, it's remained one of my favorites for a while now. I heavily disagree with everything, especially that last point. It sounds nothing like Kirby music from that era. And the soundtrack obviously sits very high at number 13. And even the game itself is in my top 20. It was in my top 15 until a little while ago when Fighters 2 and Forgotten Land kicked it out. There's a power creep discussion in here, but we're talking about music, mostly because I could talk about why those games I prefer, but I don't like being negative, especially in this case when I'm one of the few defenders of a game that I really like. I wonder if I could get someone else to say not so great things about it that I'm inevitably gonna completely disagree with later on.
Masterpiece that is King D-Mine's musical track. Alrighty, Klaire. Once again, thank you so much for having me on. I'm sorry that took a few days longer than I thought it would to finish. I just really love the Team Kirby Clash soundtrack, and I hope that it's pretty high on your list. Anyways, are there any delicious burgers for me to eat? Oh my god! Are you talking about Kirby Battle Royale? I love Kirby Battle Royale! You don't mind me taking over for this one, right? I know you don't mind. Kirby Battle Royale was a Kirby spin-off released for the Nintendo 3DS. Unlike the other spin-offs for the console, this one sold at full price. But weirdly enough, just like the other Kirby spin-offs in the console, its soundtrack is rather small. And it's also a little bit lacking. Especially compared to today's standard for Kirby spin-offs, which sell for less than half of the asking price for Battle Royale. The game mostly consists of battles, so of course the soundtrack is energetic and exciting. Since each different battle mode has different themes, the music for each one of them keeps that speedy energetic feel fitting for a brawl, while also throwing in the vibe of each mode. Coin Clash has a cartoonishly spooky tune to it. Rebel Bonkers is all grand and epic. Flak Ball has that relaxing tropical tone. Or Express makes you want to get some good old burgers. And so on. Other than those, the rest of the soundtrack sounds just like your run-of-the-mill Kirby soundtrack. We get some remixes that go in the most boring and predictable ways you could expect them to go, alongside some admittedly mediocre original tracks that at worst are just plain and boring, and at best make you go, "Yup, that is Kirby music alright." Just like the game itself, Kirby Battle Royale's soundtrack is, I'm sorry to say this, but a little bit forgettable, repetitive, and just should have been better. Especially for that asking price. But just like Battle Royale, it is still Kirby quality, fun, and also just still a little bit enjoyable. For a soundtrack that's roughly 40 minutes long, the battle themes are cute and charming and all, but 2 original story mode tracks slightly stand out for me. And in this whole game, only one song stands next to the other series greats. That one song being, well, you already know which one it is. After throwing a royal tantrum, His Majesty shows the card of his sleeve and challenges Kirby to one final fight to prove that he is the only true winner. Building a mech with the Kirby printer, we have the DDD Destroyer C. Woo! Boy, is this track epic! This is such a good track that I'm not going to make a quick breakthrough of it. Klaire, you already know where this is going, and I already know you don't mind me taking over, so I can once again gush about this modern musical masterpiece. The track—
Nah, we're not doing that. So obviously, I love the game and I love the soundtrack. We're at the top third at this point. 13th out of 39, that's nothing to sneeze at. And where better to start than where the game itself does, the opening level. I wanted to highlight this because in many ways, this opening segment does a lot. It's a nice tutorial with little interruptions, aside from fun dialogue from Bandanity, and it gets you familiarized with the controls as well as the feel of the game. It's randomly a 3D platformer pre-Forgotten Land, albeit it's very basic. All in all, I like it, it's cute. And the music reflects that perfectly. It's a nice little tune that gets stuck in my head. You are going to get very familiar with it though, because Battle Royale does very much enjoy remixing its main theme. It's very good, I actually kind of like it here, mostly because there's good variety to the soundtrack and it's not overused all that much. It comes off less as Forgotten Land overuse, and more so as a regular, actual main theme, heard in sprinkles throughout the game to keep music associated with the game. It's good. Of course, the battle tracks are where the real hype is at. I enjoy all of these, albeit to varying degrees. For example, the Battle Coliseum. That's just good. Not great, still good. It's kind of a shame that this is the default mode for many people. It's definitely, in my opinion, the least memorable of the battle mode musics, and unlike the others, there's only one variation to it. You don't even start with all 10, you only start with 5, but the other 4 that you start with, they're all excellent. Attack Riders, for example. Straight Up did not need to go that hard, but it did. Same goes for Crazy Theater, albeit those tracks are all pretty short. It fits Crazy Theater as a game, of course, and each variation is a heckin' groove, so I don't mind. I also really like Coin Clash for its spooky and energetic vibe. I'd imagine a really good Scooby-Doo series using this. Like Mystery Incorporated, come on! Apple Scramble, but we'll get to that one a little later. Then you unlock the other 5 battle modes, and frankly, as a whole, things get even better. Mecha Bonkers, Rocket Launcher, Slam Hockey, Flag Ball, or Express? Some high quality burgers right there. I love all of these, but my favorite of the latter half, obviously, is Or Express. No contest. It's genuinely adorable, and I can never stop myself from grooving out whenever it comes on. The music for Slam Hockey has also very quickly become one of my favorites, not only fitting the intensity of the game perfectly, but also leaving a really fun techno style that doesn't get old for me. Kinda reminds me of Canvas Curse if it wasn't on the DS. Of course, Flag Ball. Love Flag Ball. Super chill, laid back, relaxing, and fun. Mecha Bonkers and Rocket Launcher I think are very good too. Not quite as good, but they're better than Battle Coliseum, which is good enough. But the battle themes aren't all this game has to offer. There's a full story mode here on display, and there's one thing I really want to highlight here. Well, there's 2 things, but we'll get to the second one a little later. Again. For now, during cutscenes where Day-to-Day is stealing the spotlight, which should be whenever he's on screen, he's so good in this game, I really miss this pettier side of him, his theme obviously plays. But what I love about it, and tragically this hasn't stuck around since, is that the instrumentation and style is specifically calling back to Drum Dash Deluxe's version of his theme. And I love this! Actually having the game tie into his character in a different one through music, fantastic. And while the story mode music generally rules otherwise, this has always stood out to me the most. But the story mode music isn't all there is to talk about either. The menus have some terrific music as well. I'm kind of tuned out from the main menu theme because I played the heckin' game so much. But to highlight 2 tracks specifically, the training mode theme and the gallery theme. The training mode, that one just rules. Listen to how cool this is. But the gallery, to me, is a true highlight. An unapologetically soothing track that makes me just melt into my seat. In a good way. I'm sure you can tell by this point in the rankings, but I am very weak to tracks like this. Ones that are so pleasant, welcoming, and warm. If a game like this can have music this pleasant sprinkled throughout here and there, I'm not hearing excuses from other games. I know Battle Royale is a fantastic soundtrack, but come on, other games can do better too. Now, listening to these tunes and jamming out and realizing, wow, Klaire loves this game more than I thought anybody ever could, you may be thinking of a criticism in your mind. If you are, then hopefully I've got the right one. Aren't there too many remixes of the main theme here? Didn't I give Forgotten Land a lot of flack for that? And I know I talked about this before, but to kind of go in a little more detail, the answer is kinda yes. They go a little far with remixing the main theme, but I don't think it's an issue. First, like I said earlier, crazy variety. Compare the 2 versions of the main theme that I just played to the opening track. And the main menu music. None of these basically have anything in common aside from, well, I mean, they're the same thing, but aside from that, they're completely different. So much was done to make them sound and, more importantly, feel different. To add to that, while there's a healthy dose of the main theme in the game, there are so many other tracks that aren't said main theme that, I don't know, I think it's fine. Variety is the spice of life, and there's healthy variety here. Like this track that plays before the final boss. Seriously, why is this so, like, creepy? It's like Puppy's gonna jump scare you at any moment or something. So our wonderful guest had already talked about this a little bit, but Puppy jump scare. I would never actually jump scare you. The final boss of this game, especially the music, it's kinda nuts. The build-up definitely doesn't get enough credit. That spooky track I just played is actually from that build-up, but the real delight is the final boss track itself. In usual Kirby fashion, not only is the Day-to-Day theme one of the best tracks in the game, but it being a final boss track, it's a extra level of bop. By far, this is the most popular track in the game, and it's so easy to understand why. It just has everything you'd want a final boss day-to-day fight to have. And as an old head, just the fact that in 2018, we got another one of these, the day-to-day final boss with no bonus fight after or whatever, was enough to just make me gush. Spin-offs used to deliver these all the time, but around Canvas Curse's release, they just stopped. Mask Day-to-Day and Superstar Ultra is essentially the closest that we've gotten to one of these since Tilt and Tumble, I think, and that theme rules. But still, I want more, and what we got here is nothing short of a masterpiece. But my favorite theme in the game is Apple Scramble. I know, kind of a hot take on top of many other layers of hot takes, but I'm gonna stand by all of them. Apple Scramble is addictive, fun, and a track I never get tired of. It's even got that good old association going for it, since not only is Apple Scramble the first game that you play in the story mode, kinda, but Apple Scramble itself is also my favorite of all the battle modes in Battle Royale. It's the most strategic, so I spent a lot of time theory crafting strategies and, well, jamming out to the music. It's so good! It gets even better when you're running low on time, and it speeds up. It gets a lot more frantic and fast-paced. Most of the games in Battle Royale do this, but I like Apple Scrambles the most. It just fits the bill of super frantic, super fast, and super fun the best, at least to me. I guess it isn't as climactic or grand as Data Destroyer Z. That one's got some stuff going for it too over Apple Scramble, namely the memory of Bandanity saying, "Use this to beat Day-to-Day," and then hurling a cannon at you. But Apple Scramble has just the right amount of everything I'm looking for it to be my favorite. Now, the soundtrack, it's not perfect or anything. I am only ranking it at number 13 after all. But to be honest, outside of really small things, not much bothers me here personally. If you were to ask me what my biggest issue with Battle Royale's music was, I'd say that not enough people bought the game when it came out for the music to be heard. I really love this soundtrack, but I could still acknowledge its faults. Dexus mentioned its runtime, and that's absolutely, I think, its biggest weakness. 40 minutes of music was acceptable back in the Game Boy days, but by the time this game came out, the Switch was already a thing. A full-priced game with this little, in terms of music, is just unacceptable. You could also argue that there's a bit too much variety. I know how that sounds, but for such a short soundtrack, you could consider it to be a little too ambitious for its own good, resulting in poor cohesion of music. You could also argue that the tracks just don't do it for you, but that one I'm not gonna accept. You gotta give me a real reason why this game that everybody ignores, when music is this good, has problems. I hate it when I just hear, it's boring. No, it isn't! I guess we should just wrap things up before... Guys, I don't know, I'm running out of segue ideas, but those are my thoughts on Kirby Battle Royale. If you agree with me, or more likely if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. I've heard so many things relating to everything about the game really, but the soundtrack specifically that I don't agree with, but I'm always open to hear what other people think. Tomorrow's soundtrack should be much less of a hot take, or it'll be even more of a hot take because it is going to be a beloved game outside of the top 10. I don't know which is going to be more contentious, honestly, but we will have to wait and see. Speaking of, I'm going to go finish up that video, so until I see you all again, I've been Klaire. Thank you all so much for watching, and hop online for Battle Royale sometime. I want people to play with. Bye!